Today is going to be raw. It's going to be honest. And my hope is that by sharing my story, you're going to see yourself more clearly and you'll stop letting shame keep you stuck in the same patterns. So let's dive in. Hey, my friends, welcome to today's episode. First of all, if you haven't filled out the 2026 Body Capacity Planner, head to the show notes and fill that guy out. And if you did fill it out from last week, or maybe you saw it on my social media, maybe you found some patterns that made you feel uncomfortable. Maybe you checked more boxes than you expected in where your energy leaked section. And maybe you realized that the cost was higher than what you wanted to admit, and your business and your life and feeling joy and the presence of the moments. And maybe it didn't feel so good. And if you're like most high achieving women I work with out there, there's a little voice of shame that creeps in saying, I should have known better. I should have handled this differently. What's wrong with me? And so today we're going to get really honest. And I'm going to get really honest with you on what my own 2025 depletion audit looks like, because I do the work with you as well. Here's the truth. I teach nervous system regulation. I teach body capacity, and I still spent a lot of this year running the brink of on empty, and you're okay. And nope, you're on empty again. And oh, you're okay. This isn't because I don't know what to do. It's because knowing and implementing are two different things. And there were things happening this year that kept me on this brink. So when did I first really realize I was running on empty in 2025? Honestly, for me, it was very gradual. There's very few things in my life that are very abrupt and very loud. That's just who I am. But some people, it can be very abrupt and very loud, and all of a sudden, just in your face. But for me, it wasn't. And it was just very slow, very gradual until I was like, hey, something's not right here. What that really looked like for me was noticing that things that used to light me up, the work that I was doing, the way I would show up, the strategies I was implementing, the day-to-day things like being in it with my clients, it started to feel very hard. It was like, and there were some things that were like pulling teeth hard. There were places of my work that used to excite me and things I loved to talk about and genuinely I wanted to do. And suddenly I felt very bitter. I felt resentful. I felt like I was forcing myself to show up in ways that didn't feel good anymore. And here's what's interesting is that it wasn't that I was doing less. I was doing more. I was trying to work harder. I was trying to complete more things than what my body was willing to do. I was checking all the boxes. I had coaches to help me with all of these things. I was marketing in ways that I was told that you should do these things. And then it, as in the business and feeling successful, will work. And they just weren't ways that were authentic to me and didn't work with my energy. I was hustling hard and my business wasn't growing in the way that I wanted it to. And the turning point for me was actually working deeper in my human design. If you're familiar with human design, I'm a projector. And when I really started to understand what that meant and where my potential actually lies, who I'm here to work with, what I'm here to do, I realized something very profound. I wasn't lit up by some of the pieces of my work anymore. And I was trying to force something and it was depleting me, right? It was myself depleting myself. Now, this isn't to say that certain strategies are right or wrong. And so if you've seen me do certain marketing things in the past and you're like, well, maybe I shouldn't do those marketing things, maybe they're wrong. I don't think that there's anything that's right or wrong out there. I think it's about matching your true energetic potential in alignment with how you do your work. But I wasn't doing that. I was pushing, I was forcing, I was operating from pressure instead of intentionality. And what does this look like for me, like physically? Complete exhaustion by the end of the day. I sat at my computer doing busy work just for the sake of doing busy work, really because I was afraid of leaving my computer. Because if I don't work harder, I'm still not going to feel successful. I'm still not going to have the business that I want to have. So I should sit here and I should find more things to do. And it wasn't ever intentional. It wasn't intentional work. It wasn't focused work. It wasn't strategic work. It was just busy work. Things that took time because I felt drained and spread really thin. So I didn't even know what to do sometimes because I didn't have any mental clarity or any focus. And when I feel that way, I can't focus on the task that needs to be completed. I'm scattered. I'm all over the place. I'm doing things that don't matter instead of spending intentional time in front of my computer, creating what needs to be created, and then allowing myself to move away and do things that actually fill my cup outside of my business. Because here's what burnout really is. It's not having enough energy and expending the energy that's not there, right? It's overspending. It's like using a credit card and continuing to use the credit card without having enough income coming in to pay off that credit card. It's a discrepancy of energy. And if I'm wasting time on things that don't actually matter, I'm wasting energy on things that don't give me energy back. And that in of itself is burnout. And especially for entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs, that is where it begins. So before we go further, I do want to talk about the stages of burnout, because I think that this is very important for you to know the actual realities of burnout. I think it's very easy to say burnout is like this far off thing that I won't ever feel, right? That's like, end stage of failures is burnout. That's not true. There are many stages of burnout. And before you get to that end stage of what feels like everything is on fire, there are so many things that are happening before that that are very easy to solve. And we have a really big blind spot over those really easy things to solve. So there are 4 stages. We often also don't connect the stages 1 and 2 to burnout at all. We completely normalize them. We look at Instagram and there's people on there functioning very well in stages 1 and 2, right? Until they don't. And we don't think burnout is actually burnout until we get to those end stages of 3 and 4. So let's talk about stage 1 and what this will generally look like for somebody. Remember, everyone is a little bit different and have nuance, but this is typically what I see. So stage 1 is just going to be general exhaustion. This is just where you're tired all the time. And what do you do from being tired and exhausted? You stress eat, you sit in front of the cupboard looking for quick sugar to create some quick energy, you consume a lot of caffeine, you scroll on your phone, you check out on your phone, you're not using your energy in the way that you really want to be using it. You're numbing out with Netflix or wine, whatever your thing is, and you're numbing out with Netflix or wine or whatever your thing is. Now, there's a difference between checking out for the day and finding comfort in a way that you love to find comfort, but not in a way that impacts your day-to-day life and your ability to focus and create sustainable energy. If at the end of every day, you're like, I'm so tired, everything feels very hard, you're finding constant ways to comfort yourself and to numb yourself out, you're finding a lot of ways to distract yourself, and it's impacting your day-to-day business function or your day-to-day life outside of your business, when you're at home with your children or your significant other or your social life, then that is when, we can call this a form of burnout. Now, stage 2 is when things get a little bit deeper. This is where you start to shame, doubt, and question yourself. This is where you question your ability. You wonder if you're doing the right things. You're second guessing everything. This is where you start to notice that your capacity is starting to dwindle. And many times this is kind of where sabotage will start to come in, or what we resonate as sabotage. Like, oh, I was supposed to do 3 emails today, but then XYZ happened, and then that happened, and then that happened, and then it just didn't get done. Or I sat at my computer and I just didn't know what to say, and you just don't do any work to find the words to say, right? You're not interested in finding solutions to your problems. You're just interested in letting your problems stay problems. So this is where, a lot of the more of the internal stuff will start to come out for you. So that phase 1 is more like action, right? The things I'm doing could be a version of burnout for me. And stage 2 is amping it up a little bit, because now we're looking at the internal. Is this impacting your emotional regulation, your thoughts about yourself, shame, doubt, all of that coming up, and then letting it mean something about you? It's kind of taking it to a personal level. And you might notice yourself having more irritability, more mood swings, so being really reactive at this point as well. Procrastination will be a big one, like, oh, I should go on social media, but I just don't want to, or I just don't know what to say on social media, delaying important tasks. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm so tired today. Social withdrawal as well, not wanting to talk about your business, kind of trying to hide from your business, feeling overwhelmed by normal day-to-day responsibilities. So like I said in the beginning, where I was like, oh, the things that used to light me up, all of a sudden it felt like I was walking through mud in order to get them done. Well, also I could say that was overwhelm, right? So like things that just felt very easy at one point and exciting, I couldn't wait to do them. All of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I just don't want to do this type of feeling, right? You can also see how we've totally normalized these, right? I will say too, we do ebb and flow, right? We are normal humans, and we are normal humans who have shitty days, and we are normal humans who have great days. That in of it, it's not a problem, but it's more like this is a prolonged thing that keeps happening. So stage 3 is more of the detachment and numbness. And I will say I was definitely stage 2, borderline stage 3 this year. And this is when you start to disconnect. You go through the motions, you check the boxes, but you're not truly present. You don't care as much. And this is when true sabotage will start to come in, and you'll kind of purposely get in your way, and you'll find ways to kind of go like make yourself shrink to go back to a previous version of yourself that felt very comfortable. So let's say there was one point in your business that you were making consistent 10K months, and you were able to do it over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden you hit maybe a 15K month, and you were like, oh, that was really exciting. But then all of a sudden these feelings and these symptoms of burnout start to come in when you hit that 15K month. And now you tell yourself it was better at 10K. And so now you start to go back to the things that you did to maintain a 10K month, because that felt very familiar to your identity, right? 15K felt very scary. Now you have all these problems. Now maybe you attracted clients that don't feel like they align with you very well, or you're not excited to work with, or a launch failed, or whatever it is. And then you find yourself going back and you're like, well, maybe it wasn't so bad at 10K. I want to go back to 10K, or insert whatever month or whatever like revenue it was for you at that time that feels very familiar with you. And that's kind of how that stage 3 comes about, because it's a lot of sabotaging, thinking it's going to be better somewhere else. It's not that great over here. I'm finding ways to feel smaller because it feels safer when I'm smaller. It feels safer when I'm not seen. It feels safer when I don't put myself out there. It's the body trying desperately to find safety and regulation, because your burnout is increasing. Your body knows that. It's trying to put up the flares and sending you signals. And what that looks like is your actions trying to keep you very small and trying to conserve a lot of energy. And so it looks like disconnecting. It looks like going through the motions. It looks like you not caring as much. Everything feels like cynical and apathetic, and you're just very flat. And you have a lot of disconnection basically overall, and missing things and neglecting yourself as well. So it's not like you're saying no to a client and you're going out and doing wonderful self-care activities. You're saying no to a client and then you're going on the couch and pouting about it. Or a client, inquires, or you don't have any new clients coming in, and then instead of going out and creating them, you go on the couch and cry about it. Or please cry. Like, don't not cry. I love crying for you. But not doing anything about it after you process those emotions, or just being very stubborn on processing any emotion or feeling any emotion. Really disconnecting from the body happens at this point too. So thinking about, I'm disconnecting from my business, but also disconnecting from my body, because my body feels so uncomfortable as well in this low energy state. And also physically, you'll notice too, that disconnection, but you'll notice more chronic pain. You'll notice more frequent illnesses. You'll definitely notice one that's very common, especially for clients that work with me in midlife, is digestive problems. All of a sudden, bloating, gas, constipation, reflux are becoming very apparent, because your body is really trying to get your attention, saying, hey, I don't have any more to give. When are you going to start paying attention to me? And then stage 4 is really like the crisis state. This is what we classically think about as burnout, right? So everything is on fire. If it's not on fire, you're going to intentionally light it on fire. Closing business, getting a job, feeling like we've completely lost it. We're completely detached from ourselves, very resentful, very bitter, complete exhaustion. You might notice other health issues, chronic illnesses, panic attacks, anxiety, depression, feeling very hard to function in daily life. You want to quit everything. And here is what I want you to understand is that even, there's nothing wrong with you if you get to stage 4 in burnout. The fact that you're listening to this podcast and you're creating awareness tells me so much about your resiliency and your ability to become resilient. So just know that if you reach stage 4, that does not mean things are over. It does not mean things are done. 2025 was a year of shedding. It was a year of shedding for me, and it was possibly a year of shedding for you. And it was a big old Some things were lit on fire, and some things were lit on fire on purpose, and some things weren't. That doesn't mean anything about you. That just means that you are working on your evolution. And we often think that burnout is those last two stages, right? It has to be that bad before I do anything about it. But how often are you spending time in stage 1 and 2 and you're completely normalizing it? Too many people live in stages 1 and 2, and you don't address it. You just normalize it. And this is where actually the problem lies. This is where most of your power is. And I spent most of 2025 bouncing between stages 2 and 3, to be honest. And I'm somebody who teaches this. So one of the things that I would constantly tell myself this past year about why I couldn't prioritize my body was really responding to the pressure that I felt inside of my body instead of intentionality. The pressure that I feel inside of my body is that it has to be done right now. And the reason why I feel pressure is because I want something done so I don't have to feel pressure anymore. And so I can just move on. But the truth is, when I'm stuck in doing something out of pressure, I never actually remove myself from the pressure because I just find new pressure to feel because it's such a normal thing for me to feel inside of my body. And this is a completely personal experience with my body. Pressure may not resonate with you. You might feel bitter. You might feel anger. You might feel frustration. There are different feelings that are your feeling on why you keep doing things to keep yourself stuck. One thing I'll say about pressure though, is that some pressure is fine, right? Many times that's why we complete things is because there is some sort of pressure attached to it and we want to move on. But when you're making decisions from pressure only, and just to escape pressure, it usually ends up to be a decision that you don't love, especially when it just keeps coming back over and over and over again. So instead of thinking, I have a launch coming up and I want to write intentional, authentic emails that really connect with people, so my personal experience, I'm thinking, I have pressure because I have a launch coming up and I want all these emails to be finished and done and scheduled and all the boxes checked so I can feel accomplished and like I did something right. So I rush through emails. I just want them to be done. They're not authentic. They're not in my brand voice. They're not what I really want to relay. They end up being a bunch of mush instead of very intentional, loving emails. I could write 3 intentional, loving emails that really resonate, or I could write 13 quickly put together ChatGPT emails from pressure. Which one's going to produce a better business result for me? The 3 versus the 13. But when you're depleted, you can't see that. You just keep trying to check the boxes to escape the pressure. And also, one thing that I notice is that I would hear people say, I wrote all these emails so then I could just relax afterwards. I still didn't relax. I still never felt like it was completed. I was still doing the busy work after those 13 emails were done, right? So it actually came from my inability to be very intentional and finished, intentional and completed, and move on to the next thing with intentionality instead of continuing to operate from this pressure and this fear inside of my body. So what was I doing instead of prioritizing my body? I was doing client work, volume, doing more. And here's what's interesting is 2025 the year of 2025 was supposed to be my year of capacity. That was my word for this year. And I wanted to choose capacity to open up my ability to feel capacity so I could hold more. And that definitely happened, but not in the way I thought it should or would. I didn't think 2025 year was going to be this uncomfortable shedding of old beliefs and old identities, saying no to things that weren't aligned anymore. I started with like saying I'm not doing just weight loss work anymore, then moving to different realms of my work. And now it's just completely pivoted. And I'm talking to business owners who are in burnout. And I'm still trying to figure out what all of that works. And you're with me on real time in the podcast. And I love you for that. So thank you for listening. But 2026, my year is, or I haven't decided on my word, but it'll be either refinement or intentional, probably refinement. And that's going to be on everything in 2026. And, everything surprises you. So maybe this time next year, I'll be like, I didn't expect refinement to look like this. And I hope it's exciting and wonderful and everything that I wanted, instead of me saying, wow, that wasn't what I thought capacity was going to mean for me. It was capacity I knew I wanted more capacity to be able to feel more, and so that I could hold more clients. And that looked like volume of clients. And what I really got was the capacity to feel all emotions that I have been running from most of my life. including fear and shame, and feeling that very deeply this year so that now I can teach from a different place in my body, which means an authentic and grounded version of me. It wasn't capacity of clients, it was capacity of my own damn emotions. And that almost makes me want to cry. I didn't expect all of that to come up on the podcast today and to let that all come full circle. But the capacity to feel my own stuff that I've been carrying for all of my life. And I couldn't become the version of me who needs to be a better version for you without shedding that and working through that. So this year, it looks like refinement, and that includes my entire client experience. We're doing deep work. We're doing deep transformation. We're doing amazing changes, application of it all, doing more in-person practices and things that really light me up. There's nothing better. There's nothing that feels better than ending a group breathwork session. The energy is something I just cannot explain how beautiful it is, transformational it is, how magical it is. And I just want to create more of that over and over and over again. So more in-person client work and experiences. And that's where my prioritization is right now. It's no longer in volume. It's not in seeing how many clients I can enroll into a program. That's not the big transformation that I'm looking for this year. The transformation is in the individual and the true refinement of her as well. And getting here has required me to burn a lot down of what I thought my business was supposed to look like. And I wish burning it down felt great, but it felt terrible, to be honest. It allowed me to feel more shame and more anger and more fear in the process. And did I think I was doing well on the outside while all of this was happening, while I was kind of falling apart on the inside? I didn't think I was doing well, but other people thought I was. I had people telling me all the time this year, "You're killing it. You're doing so good. I love watching you on social media." And on the inside, I was crying. I was throwing a fit. I was being a toddler in a tantrum about everything. And I still am sometimes. You're never healed, right? We're always working on it, but I'm willing to talk about it now. And I'm willing to feel the fear now instead of running away from it. And that's how this year has really changed with all of my pivots. And when I was in the thick of it from March to October, I was crying. I was falling apart. I was trying so hard to micromanage myself and my business. And while I was micromanaging it would literally just almost in my hands crumble. And I would try everything to hold it together. Think about tangibly, something falling apart in your hands, like a cookie I can think about right now, just crumbling as I'm trying to put it back together. And what it cost me was that, here's what's interesting, is that my actions didn't necessarily make me play small. I actually pushed my body too hard, right? I did the things. I continued to push really hard because I was resistant to the changes and I was resistant to what was actually needed from me. And that changed in the energetic exchange and expansion with what I was able to receive. The thing is that the universe knows when your body and your energy are depleted and not aligned. You can't fake that. And it's not going to give you unaligned clients. It's not going to give you more work to do when you don't have the right alignment and the capacity in place. So I worked hard. I worked hella hard. And that hard work didn't come back to me. I was hustling, I was pushing, I was forcing, and my business was not growing in the way that I wanted it to. Not because I wasn't doing the work, but because I was doing it from the wrong energetic state. You can execute all of the strategies, you can check all the boxes, but if you're depleted, if you're out of alignment, if you're forcing instead of flowing, it's not going to land the same way. And here's where it gets really heavy, is that emotional toll that you feel. You do the work, and then what you get is shame, fear, and anger. When you build a really successful business, you're like, how did I do this? And it's all exciting and it's all flowing. You're like, I'm doing everything right. And then all of a sudden everything pivots because you're meant to pivot. But you've been ignoring the signs, trying to push through, trying to work harder, trying to push your body and not listen to your body. And it's like what I always tell you, right? If you don't listen to your body's whisper, pretty soon you're going to hear it scream. But here's what happened to me. I didn't hear my soul's whisper. I didn't hear my higher self whisper. And what happened to me is that it had to scream. It had to take away clients from me so that I could see the clients were not meant for me anymore. That was not the type of work I was here to do anymore. And if you don't listen to the whispers of your soul, your higher self, the universe, it's going to find a way to show you, hey, pay attention. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And as someone who coaches on nervous system regulation and body capacity, what I will say about that while I was going through this is that nervous system regulation was the thing that kept my head above water for most of this year. If I didn't have nervous system regulation, I guarantee you my entire business would be closed today and I would have a job. Nervous system regulation saved me. I learned it at the right time and when I needed it most. And the shame, I tried to outwork it over and over and over again, because when you continue to work with like shitty emotions, you don't necessarily have to pay attention to your feelings of shame, right? You get to distract yourself with the work. And if I just work harder, I don't actually have to feel this. I can outrun shame. But the truth is, you can't ever outrun your feelings. They just find a new way to find you, right? And so what finally shifted for me, I started to protect my own time and prioritizing myself. Now, this might sound selfish when I just said that my intentions for the year are refinement and intentionality, but the truth is that I'm not a good coach if I'm not embodying what I'm telling you to do. So this looks like leaving my computer when my body needs a break. This looks like scheduling a walk when I could be recording a podcast. It looks like sitting silently. And it has really intensely looked like me doing nervous system work every single morning. So previous version of me was the person that did my strength training every morning, right? I would show you those things and I would do those things. And then this year, all of a sudden it was like, hey, that's not for you anymore. That's not enough for you anymore. I still do my strength training. I still make sure my physical body is taken care of and well supportive and is metabolically healthy. All of that is so important. But there's another part that needs more work. And that was my nervous system. I'm on a current 30 where I spend 30 to 45 minutes regulating my nervous system in the morning. And when I talk about regulating my nervous system, I do a little bit of breath work. I do a little bit of tapping. I might do some journaling. I do some energetic work as well. So it looks like different things than what my body and my soul really need in the morning. But I can't expect you to do 10 minutes of nervous system work in the morning if I'm not, carrying a deeper load and knowing exactly what that is and what that looks like and what that requires for you. I am always willing to go first before you. I will never tell you to do something that I haven't done at 10 times the capacity and the work of it. I'm somebody that has to embody this at a great degree before I expect you to do it. But I want you to see is that I'm, on the other side of it, I'm doing the work. I'm showing you, I'm leading you from true embodiment. I do this work every single day. I know what it's like to have kids asking you for needs and walking into your office and asking you for things. And you're just like, I need to send this email. I just need to make sure this client gets that first. And you're trying to hold everything together on your shoulders and you're like, I forgot to make dinner. I forgot to settle the protein. I also forgot to go for a walk and I don't know that I breathed today and I'm not really sure how much water I've drank. I know what all of this feels like. I'm in the shoes and the depths with you. And also I know how to get you out of it. So here's the question everyone asks me. You know nervous system regulation. You teach it. What's the gap between knowing and actually doing it consistently? The difference between knowing it and actually doing it was my commitment to decondition myself from working with strategies that did not work with my body and my business anymore. I decided to allow myself to be more authentically who I am. More of me in my business in a way that feels really good, both in my body and my business. And to do that, I need to be able to create that mind, body, and energetic connection every single day. Even on a Saturday morning when I would rather sit on my couch and scroll on my phone and drink coffee like any other human, I decided to commit to it because I am committed to the version of me who feels true success that is authentically mine, authentically belongs to me. Not success that belongs on paper, that looks good on paper, not revenue success with goals that I'm white knuckling towards to just say that I did it, but success that truly feels aligned, that feels sustainable, that feels like me. And that required me to stop just knowing what I needed and actually implementing it. And now looking back, where were my actual energy leaks that I could see like in real time, tangibly? What were the things that I was doing? Kind of similar to the planner, that if you check some of those boxes, for me, it was doing work that was busy work and didn't light me up. So doing work for the sake of just sitting here at my computer, not for anything else outside of it, being busy just for the sake of being busy because I felt like I was doing things right, and following strategies that just didn't align with my energy or how I actually want to run my business. I think it's wonderful to be in programs and to have coaches and coaching, obviously, because I am one. And as a coach, I will always be coached. But you have to develop the skill to check in with your body and know yourself so deeply that if somebody teaches you a strategy, it doesn't mean you actually have to implement it. You can say no to coaches. You can say no to strategies that don't feel right to you. When you know yourself deeply, you get so much authority and autonomy on knowing what is right for you while still learning new information and using that information and applying it to your body and your energy. And if I could tell myself anything when I go back to the beginning of the year, last year, 2025, I would say it's okay to soften. It's okay not to have a hard edge all the time. It's okay to have a growth year. It's okay to change your mind. And that being soft does not mean that you're not doing the work. It actually means you're doing harder work than you ever thought you could do. Because honestly, in our day, working hard, in our how we think about working hard, is easy to do. That's the checking of the boxes. Doing the soft work actually creates your ability to be malleable between the softness and the hardness when you need to be. So, what I want you to understand about your own depletion in this last year is, or if you're unsure about what your depletion is and you're still analyzing that or still thinking about that, or this episode has you thinking about it, I want you to think about what are you shoulding yourself into for doing things for the sake of working. Start spending your time on things that actually bring more to you instead of depleting you. And if you're in stages 1 or 2 of your burnout right now, if you're exhausted, or you're scrolling, or you're shame spiraling, or you're doubting yourself, here's what I want you to know. This is where your boundaries, your nervous system, and your nutrition come into play. These are simple fixes. They're not always easy, but they're simple. And they make the difference between staying stuck in stages 1 or 2 or sliding into stages 3 and 4. And if you filled out the planner and saw the patterns that you're ready to change, I have something coming in January that's going to help you actually implement in real time and not just understand, right? The planner is great for awareness and taking steps 1 on the next thing, or you can join me in the 3-day workshop from overworked to optimized. And it's 3 days of nervous system and nutrition workshop for women building success without burnout. It's going to be January 6th, 7th, and 8th. We're meeting at noon. And this is where we go from awareness to action implementation of the things that are actually going to create sustainable energy for you in 2026. It's from the knowing to the implementing, from running on empty to building a real sustainable body capacity. I'm going to teach you the same practices that I have used to keep my head above water this year, the same nervous system tools that are creating the foundation in my most aligned business year yet that will be coming, right? And I'm going to help you see where your energy is leaking and where you can actually plug those leaks before 2026 comes in and becomes a repeat of 2025. No, thank you, ma'am. I am not signing up for 2025 again. So if you're done normalizing stages 1 and 2, and they sounded very much so like you, and you haven't filled out the planner yet, make sure to go to the show notes to download the planner and fill that out, or you can go to my website, mindfullywell.com/planner. If you have done that and you're ready for the next step, then go to mindfullywell.com/optimized, or you can go to the show notes and sign up for that as well. So here's what I want you to take away from this episode. Running on empty has a cost, and it's higher than you think. It costs you business opportunities, not because you're not working hard enough, but because your energetic alignment is off. It costs you presence with your family, joy in moments that should feel good and should be memories, and instead you're forgetting them. Trust in yourself. And most of all, it costs you the version of your business and life that you're actually meant to be building. 2025 taught me that I can't outrun depletion. I can't strategize my way out of misalignment. I can't build something sustainable from depleted foundation. Knowing what your body needs is not the same as implementing it. So if you filled out that planner and you saw patterns you didn't like, don't let shame keep you stuck. Don't try to outwork it. Don't wait until you're in stage 3 or 4 of burnout. Start now, start small, and start with awareness. And if you want support actually implementing what your body needs so your business gets what it requires, I'm going to see you in From Overworked to Optimized, the 3-day workshop. So let's make 2026 not only different, but so much better. Not by doing more, but by doing it aligned. All right, my friends, I will see you next week.